Okay, so, I watch NBC nightly news every night, mostly because they say keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. I just like to see how they're spinning things. And tonight was just out of control. So, Hillary Clinton, when she was Secretary of State, used her own, set up and used her own private email server. Okay, and when she was asked, she deleted 40,000 emails. Deleted them. So no one could ever read them. They're gone. Okay, so Ivanka Trump, who I'm not sure, but I don't know if she actually has a specific position within the White House as just, except for just maybe an advisor. I could be wrong. But she certainly is not Secretary of State or whatever the hell Hillary Clinton was. So here we go.
Good evening. A stunning report out tonight says President Trump was poised to order the criminal prosecutions of two of his biggest political adversaries. The New York Times tonight citing unnamed sources claiming the president told the White House counsel he wanted to order the Justice Department to prosecute Hillary Clinton and former FBI Director James Comey. The idea apparently died, according to the paper, when the president was told such a move could put him at risk of impeachment. Our Kristen Welker has details.
In the explosive new report, the New York Times says the conversation happened last spring. President Trump telling then White House counsel Don McGahn that he wanted the Justice Department to prosecute Hillary Clinton.
Okay, wanted the Justice Department to prosecute. I would be surprised if, it wanted the Justice Department to investigate. Okay, but they're saying prosecute. So usually before a prosecution, an investigation occurs. So that's most likely what he said, although I'm not sure, I wasn't there.
And former FBI Director James Comey. The newspaper cites two people familiar with the conversation. The Times says McGahn told the president he had no authority to order that, and that White House lawyers drafted a memo for the president that if he asked law enforcement to investigate his rivals, he could face a range of consequences, including possible impeachment.
He could face impeachment for looking into the legality of deleting 40,000 emails that the Secretary of State had had deleted from her private email server. If she was the CEO of a corporation, she would definitely have faced an investigation and most likely prosecution thereafter.
Even as a presidential candidate, Mr. Trump hinted at ordering an investigation into Clinton.
But if I win, I am going to instruct my attorney general to get a special prosecutor to look into your situation.
To look into your situation. To investigate. Okay?
The new report raising more questions about the president's tense relationship with his Justice Department, including firing Attorney General Jeff Sessions, to new fears from Democrats that his replacement, Matt Whitaker, might curtail the Mueller investigation.
It's going to be up to him. I think he's very well aware politically. I really believe he's going to do what's right.
Neither the White House nor Don McGahn responded to our requests for comment. All of this comes as the president and his legal team say they have submitted written answers to special counsel Robert Mueller, though they say much of it was, quote, beyond the scope of legitimate inquiry. Lester.
Kristen Welker, thank you, Kristen. With all that news breaking word, there's fallout tonight after the revelation that Ivanka Trump used private email to conduct government business while working in the White House. Critics pouncing, alleging hypocrisy.
Okay, she used private email. Did she delete 40,000 of them as someone was asking her for them? Or did she just use an email server? There's a huge difference there. deleting 40,000 emails versus using a different email server. Let's see which one it is.
See, after her father's relentless criticism of Clinton's emails. Peter Alexander has late details.
Criticism of her deleting her emails.
Tonight, the first dad defending his daughter, now under investigation for violating federal records rules by using her personal email account to conduct government business last year.
Ivanka did some emails. They weren't classified like Hillary Clinton. They weren't deleted like Hillary Clinton. They're all in presidential records.
There we go.
Ivanka Trump tonight
Finally,
also not hiding
soundbite
front and
of
center in the
truth.
Rose Garden, but publicly silent. A spokesperson for Mrs. Trump telling NBC News she sometimes used her private account, almost always for logistics and scheduling concerning her family. Still, House Democrats are demanding answers, vowing they'll investigate those emails, reportedly hundreds of them, that Miss Trump sent to White House aides, cabinet officials, and her assistants.
Oh, Ivanka can handle herself. Ivanka can handle herself.
But even a pair of the president's former aides concede it's problematic.
Well, certainly, I think it's hypocritical. I think even
Here we go.
if she was,
CNN.
Interviewed about it, she'd have to say that it was a
The
mistake.
Scaramucci who...
It appears hypocritical and that...
There we go. CNN. Let's have a soundbite from CNN on
How can Hillary
NBC.
manage this country
Fascinating.
when she can't even manage her emails?
The argument that launched that famous rallying cry. Tonight, giving critics new ammunition. Peter Alexander,
Oh, giving
NBC
you
News, the White
ammunition.
House.
In an extraordinary
Oh,
move,
wait,
the
you are
president is
critics.
waving
Oh.
aside the conclusion by his own intel agencies that Saudi Arabia's crown prince was behind the murder of journalist.
Okay. CIA and whoever else investigated this, they have ideas. They have, likelihood of whether this crown prince was in on it. Now, I bet he was, but no one knows for sure. Okay? Unlike Hillary Clinton, we know for a fact she deleted 40,000 emails, which is a federal crime, given her position. We have a likelihood of whether or not the crown prince knew or ordered this murder here. Okay?
Journalist Jamal Khashoggi. Our Andrea Mitchell reports.
All right, Andrea, how do you pronounce his last name?
The president tonight deciding to side with Saudi Arabia at all costs.
If we abandoned
At all
Saudi
costs.
Arabia, it would be a
I
terrible
love how you
mistake.
add at all costs in
Questioning
there,
the CIA's
Andrea.
conclusion reported by NBC News that Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman ordered the murder of Washington Post writer Jamal Khashoggi.
They have
Khashoggi.
nothing definitive. And the fact is, maybe he did, maybe he didn't.
Saying to him it's all about keeping oil prices down, arms deals, and countering Iran.
Trump is saying the other things we get from Saudi Arabia are more important than establishing the culpability for the murder of Khashoggi.
But while the president claims $450 billion in Saudi deals, they've promised only $14.5 billion. And the Secretary of State, asked about Khashoggi's death affecting
Khashoggi.
Saudi relations, said,
It's a mean, nasty world out there. They're an important partner of ours.
Mike Pompeo also ignoring the CIA he once led. Tonight, top Democrats calling it a stain on our democracy and vowing...
Oh, top Democrats calling it a stain on our democracy. Well, let's look at this. Okay, here's this guy, Frank Olson, who was I believe, in the United States Navy. Okay, and there was just a special about how the CIA murdered him because he didn't want to continue developing biological weapons for the U.S. military. Okay, so there's CIA sued over 1950s murder of government scientists. The true story behind the CIA scientist's mysterious death. Scientist Frank Olson was drugged with LSD and thrown out a 10-story window in New York City. Okay, so here's the CIA who murdered an American citizen who was in, I believe, the Navy. I could be wrong. So now they're all just shining example of what's right and what's wrong in this world. And they're telling Donald Trump, our president, that, oh my goodness, we have an audio tape of, this man being murdered, and we're quite certain that Prince MLB, whatever the hell his name is, ordered the hit. And they're saying, oh, Trump is only concerned about money and, it's a stain on democracy. Well, wait a second. A stain on democracy? Because he didn't listen to the CIA? Oh, the CIA scientist, mysterious. Okay, so he was a CIA scientist. I'm sorry, he wasn't in the Navy. I apologize. Okay, so he was drugged with LSD and thrown out of a 10th story window in New York City. Okay, so what's the stain on democracy? I think the CIA and the NSA and the shadow government are a stain on our democracy, not Donald Trump, declining to... I got to admit, I'd have a tough time with this one myself. There's a lot of variables, a lot of things to think about. Murdering a journalist is definitely horrible. But, so is misleading the United States public through your skewed and fraudulent journalism here, people. Here we go. What's
to
worse?
block arms sales to the Saudis. And this warning Sunday from Republican Lindsey Graham.
When it comes to the Crown Prince, he's irrational, he's unhinged, and I have no intention of working with him.
He's irrational and unhinged because, he allegedly requested that this man be murdered. Don't you think you'd possibly talk about what this guy Khashoggi wrote about? Do you think in the 30 or 40 times they're going to air this story, they might air maybe 5 or 10 or 15 seconds about what this man wrote about that pissed off the Crown Prince so bad? I looked into it. It's not that big of a deal what this guy wrote. I mean, it's nothing. It wasn't like he was calling the guy a child molester or anything. He was just saying, yeah, this guy's kind of a brute, and he's gathering up power, which is all completely true. He wasn't lying about this Crown Prince. But wouldn't you think that NBC News would talk about what Khashoggi wrote about, which may or may not have led up to his death? Because if you read what Khashoggi wrote about, you wouldn't think it would piss off a guy so bad that he would want to kill the guy, So the reason that they haven't talked about what Khashoggi wrote about is because it really isn't a smoking gun. It certainly doesn't give the Crown Prince a motive, in my opinion.
Ever again.
Tonight, Khashoggi's employer, the Washington Post,
back to
calls the
Khashoggi
president's
now.
response a betrayal of American values of human
It's
rights.
a betrayal of American values. And then there's the face. So concerned about this betrayal of American values. And this is just one example how this guy, Frank Olson, was murdered by the CIA because he didn't want to continue developing biological weapons. There are thousands of incidents like this, instances, whatever you want to call it, where people were murdered by the United States quote-unquote government, the CIA, whatever you want to call it, the shadow government, the deep state, the Fourth Reich, I call it. It's a joke. Hopefully Trump will overthrow these bastards who are truly destroying our country and our world. See ya.